Ever wondered if sealing your concrete, pavers or stone actually does anything? Or is it just some fancy add-on that a contractor tries to upsell you into? My name's Corbin from Surface Rescue, and in this video I'm going to be showing you the differences in looks, performance and cleanability between a sealed and unsealed surface. A common question we get asked is, do I really need to seal my concrete, pavers or stone? A lot of property owners don't realise that the right sealer can be the difference between a surface that cleans up easily or one that permanently soaks up every oil, wine spill or barbecue leak that it ever sees. So here's what we're working with. In front of me here, these cream colored ones, this is a concrete paver. This is representing more of an entry level paver. And then we've got our travertine paver, natural stone. It's gonna be higher end. So we're gonna run a test, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna clean all four of them, and then we're gonna seal one of the concrete pavers and one of the travertine pavers, so that we can compare and contrast between the performance, the looks, and the cleanability of an unsealed and a sealed surface. For the concrete pavers, we're gonna be using ProSeal 896, and for the travertine pavers, we're gonna be using Protect Guard MG. This is really important because different surfaces actually require different sealers. Put the wrong sealer on the wrong surface and you're gonna experience peeling, delamination, hazing, slipperiness, or perhaps even a color enhancement or level of shine that you weren't wanting. So let's take this travertine paver for example. So this is a very smooth form of travertine. Travertine and other natural stones, they come in, different forms. They can be, sort of a bit more raw or polished, and that does really dictate what type of sealer you put on top of it. So as this one is so smooth, you don't want to be adding a sealer that doesn't penetrate into the surface. Most sealers on the market, they don't do a very good job of penetrating, and what that means is that it's actually going to sit on the surface, not soak in, and it's going to make this surface more slippery than it already is. Also with natural stone, people typically buy it for its natural beauty, and you don't want to be mucking around with increasing the shine level or changing the color or anything like that. So again, really important that you choose the right sealer so that you can preserve the natural qualities and beauty of the surface. So when it comes to concrete, whether it's your driveway, your paths, or even a paver like what I'm holding here, most property owners are after a little bit of color enhancement and also a bit of shine to be added to the surface. And like I mentioned earlier, you don't want to just be throwing any old product on the surface. There are plenty of sealers on the market from the likes of your hardware stores and your paint stores that will give you some shine, give you some color enhancement, but typically these cheaper products, they don't do a very good job of breathing. And what that means is that there's typically always some sort of moisture underneath your surface. And if you've got a product on top that doesn't allow that moisture to pass through, it can exhibit as chalkiness or going milky or even delamination. A high quality product on the other hand is going to give you those same benefits. It's going to give you some color enhancement and some shine, but because it's breathable, any of that moisture that's sitting under the paver or the concrete is actually going to pass through the sealer and not cause any ugly issues with the sealer. So that's why choosing a contractor who understands the different surfaces that may be found on your property, as well as the chemistry behind professional sealers, actually matters. First step of the process is to clean the surface. What we're going to do here is we're going to apply some detergent, we're going to agitate it, and then we're going to come through and do a moderate pressure wash. Really important that the surface is as clean as can be, because once we seal it, if there's anything left on the surface, it's actually going to lock it in there. So got to get it all nice and clean, ready for sealing. Now that all of our pavers are clean and dry, we can move on to the sealing. So we're going to seal these two pavers here. The other two pavers, they're going to be our unsealed samples, and then we're going to do our torture testing and do our comparison between sealed and unsealed. Now with our travertine, we're going to be using Protect Guard MG. MG stands for marble and granite. And this sealer is specifically designed to go onto natural stone, especially natural stone that is very dense. Now dense stone, it has very, very small pores. So very important that you have a sealer that can actually get into those pores and fill them up and provide the protection that's required. This particular product is a natural look, so it's going to soak into the surface. It's not going to sit on the surface. You actually won't really know it's there in terms of the visuals. It's not going to provide any shine or enhancement. It's purely just going to soak into the stone. But that's kind of what you want with a natural stone, because you buy it for the natural characteristics and the beauty that it exhibits. Yeah, this one's going to kind of be like invisible protection, so to speak. On the other side, we're going to be with our concrete paver using ProSeal 896. So this is a water-based product. It's non-toxic, it doesn't smell and stink like your old school solvent-based sealers do. And what this product's designed for is to go over concrete. Concrete's quite porous, it's going to have lots of pores that are much larger than something that you'd find on your travertine or other natural stones. And this product is actually going to provide a little bit of a subtle sort of satin shine, so it's going to provide a little bit of enhancement, a little bit of shine, which is what most people want when it comes to sealing concrete. So what we're going to do first is we're going to seal up our piece of travertine. This is going to have one coat. On the other hand, our ProSeal is going to be 2 coats. Reason for the difference in number of coats is it just comes down to the chemistry of the sealers. Some sealers are designed to be put down in 1 coat to the point of saturation. Most natural stones are very dense, as I mentioned earlier. They don't take a lot of sealer to begin with because there's not a lot of pores in them to start with. Whereas with your concrete, it's going to drink up more of the product, hence why it requires more coats. So let's get into the sealing. So for the sample, we're just going to apply some with a paintbrush, obviously on a large area. You don't do it with a paintbrush, we spray it on. There it is, make sure we've got nice even coverage. Boom, and now this is just going to be left to dry, and the sealer is obviously just going to penetrate into the surface. And once it's dry, both samples are going to be left for a few days just to ensure that they've cured fully. And then we're going to go through and start doing the torture testing, you know, putting different contaminants on them, oils, wood stains, red wine, things like that. And, you know, so we can really see the difference between sealed and unsealed. And now for our concrete pavers, so we're going to spray down some ProSeal. Now I want to do two coats, so this is our first one, flood coat. Can let that sit for a little bit, and once that's penetrated in and soaked in, we'll then go through for our second one. So first coat's dried, now let's get the second one on. So it's been 5 days since we sealed the pavers, and now what we're going to do is put them through their paces with some stain testing. But before we do that, we've got our 2 sealed samples here in front of me. So we can see with the concrete paver, it's got a nice shine to it compared to the unsealed equivalent. And when it comes to our travertine paver, however, this is the sealed one, you can't really tell much of a difference in terms of shine or any other sort of color enhancement. That is the purpose with this product here. As I mentioned a few times now, people that have got natural stone, they typically want to preserve the natural look of it. Whereas with concrete, most people are looking for some sort of shine and, you know, potential color enhancement as well. So what we've got here is we've got some timber stain that's gonna do a pretty good job of marking these pavers up. We've got some used engine oil, and then we've got some red wine as well. So we'll start off with a little bit of the timber stain. Oh, yep. And then we'll go into the unsealed paver. Go into our natural stone. Sealed first. Unsealed. Engine oil. And lastly, we'll do some red wine. So now that we've covered all of these pavers in a whole heap of contaminants, we're going to leave this all for an hour and yeah, give it a good opportunity for all of this to soak in, and yeah, we'll go through some cleaning once the hour's up, and let's see how much joy we have in removing all of this. So just over an hour's gone by, and now we're back having a look at these pavers. You can already see the sealed ones, the wine, the oil, and the stain. It looks quite a bit different compared to the unsealed area. Like on this concrete paver here, the wine stain's already soaked in, it's left this quite ugly sort of blackish stain. And then the same on the travertine as well. The wine stain's almost dried out. But then on the sealed side, you can clearly see it's probably done a much better job of repelling. So what we're gonna do now is just gonna blot everything up, and then we'll go through and we'll do our wash, see how well these have cleaned up. So now that all of the excess stain and oil and red wine has been blotted up and scraped away, we can already see that the sealed surface is coming out ahead. It's nowhere near as stained compared to the unsealed stuff. So now what we're going to do is we're going to give it a bit of a scrub with a soapy water solution, and yeah, let's see what happens from here. So we'll put some on the sealed and unsealed concrete pavers first. Get out our brush. The travertine for now. So we'll do sealed, get a bit on that unsealed as well to give it some time to soak. Now, because the travertine's got all these little natural pits and pores in it, might be a little bit hard for it to come out of there, but what we can do is we can take these outside after I've given them a scrub and give them a hot water pressure wash as well. Because the thing is with sealers is that they will repel stains, but they're not necessarily stain proof. And what I mean by that is if you leave a contaminant like motor oil or something like that long enough, it may penetrate through and soak through the sealer. So yeah, the sealers aren't self-cleaning or anything like that. However, what they do is they buy you time so that if you do have something spill, you can get back to it, you can get to it. Alrighty, what we'll do now, we've given them a good scrub with some degreaser. We'll get them outside and we'll get a little bit of hot water over them with a bit of pressure, see if we can get them any cleaner, but already the results are reasonably clear. So the cleaning that I did just before, that was more of a homeowner or DIY approach. We just had some household detergent and a scrubbing brush and some water. And we can already see that just after some basic cleaning, the sealed surface is leagues ahead of the unsealed surface. But now what we're going to do is we're going to take a bit more of a professional approach to the cleaning. So behind me we've got one of our exterior cleaning rigs. It's got high pressure, it's got hot water. We're going to use some pretty strong degreaser on it as well, just to see if we can get the surfaces looking any better. So now that we've done the professional exterior clean, let's have another look at the surface. So the unsealed concrete paver is the biggest loser out of the bunch. For obvious reasons, well, it wasn't sealed and it's a lot more porous when it's compared to the travertine. But we can see here, we've still got a little bit of the timber stain present. We've got a little bit of that oil stain still present. And then the red wine, I'm actually surprised, that sort of stained it the worst out of the bunch. If we go over to our sealed surface, there's just no real staining present. It all cleaned off real nice. One other thing, you might be wondering, like, why are these a different color? So the reason why the unsealed surface is kind of like this more tanny color is that the liquids are actually soaked into the surface, whereas this one here is actually like fully repelling the water, so it's not even getting wet. So yeah, that explains the color difference between the sealed and the unsealed concrete paver. Going over to the travertine, the results aren't as drastic as the concrete paver. Reason being is that this travertine is actually being polished, so it's a very, very dense surface to begin with. However, when it comes to sealing, it's not all about preventing stains. I mean, that's one of the biggest benefits with it, but it's also just about prolonging the life of the surface. So when you've got pavers laid down, you've got salts and just other grime and environmental contaminants that can get into the surface and begin to break it down over time. So that is another benefit of sealing, is that it helps to prolong the life of the surface. So whether it's basic concrete on your driveway or high-end natural stone around your pool, the right sealer is going to help lock in that freshly cleaned look. It's going to reduce the chance of staining, and it's going to make the surface a lot easier to live with day to day. If you've got concrete, pavers or natural stone around your property and you're not sure what sealer you need, or if they've even been sealed properly in the past, that's where we come in. At Surface Rescue, we clean it, choose the right product for the surface, and seal it so it stays looking good for longer. If you'd like us to transform your property by cleaning and sealing your outdoor surfaces, then give our team a call at Surface Rescue to arrange an on-site consultation, 0475 399 746.